I look at human flourishing as something that is different than what a lot of people even understand. It's like, it's a vitalistic model that's not just about just your health. It's about your spiritual health, your relational health, your emotional health. It's not just about your CDC blood work. It's about your gastrointestinal bacteria. You're looking at your viral overload. You're looking at environmental toxins that you've been exposed to throughout your lifetime. You're looking at what kind of hormone dysregulation you have or micronutrient deficiencies you have. And there's a strategy, and your methodology addresses a lot of this, but like there's a strategy that will help to overcome a lot of these things. But like it's really addressing at the core what they call the hallmarks of aging.
Yes.
And these are the very things that drive aging inside the body
Mhm.
and cause people to age.
Welcome to the Resiliency Method, the truth about healing. I'm Dr. Erika, and we are here to uncover the root causes keeping you stuck. Together, we'll restore your energy, your focus, and your resiliency so you can finally heal, regenerate, and feel truly alive again. He was labeled ADHD and dyslexia as a child, and he was put in special needs classes and told, without anyone really directly saying it to him, that he simply wasn't smart enough. His mother ditched the medications. She found a functional medicine doctor, and everything changed. He went on to earn an academic international scholarship, straight A's, and became one of the world's leading longevity experts. He's coined the doctor of the future by the founder of WebMD, and he's written down that he plans to live to 156 years old. Welcome to the Resiliency Method, the Truth About Healing podcast. I'm Dr. Erika Schultz, and this show exists to help you think more critically about your own health because the system was never designed to help you thrive, only to help you survive. And today, Dr. Jones is here to break down the 12 hallmarks of aging and why everything you've watched your parents go through is not inevitable. Stay tuned. Welcome, everyone, to the Resiliency Method, the Truth About Healing podcast. I'm Dr. Erika Schultz, and today I am joined with Isaac Jones, Dr. Isaac Jones. He's one of the leading experts in longevity medicine. He's been a member of the Da Vinci 50 previously, and his interest is generational health and having human flourishing for the generations to come and for our current population. I'm excited to have you, Dr. Jones. You're one of my teachers. I've known you. I reference you a brother from another mother. And I'm excited to have you here because you have just an enormous amount of wealth of information to share with us. I know specifically, and certainly in the longevity sector, which is what a lot of people are wanting to hear. And I know you know a lot of information about this industry. So I'm going to let you take it away. I really want to hear from you what you got out of the Da Vinci 50, how your journey came about to explore longevity, what got you interested in this?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Erica. It's a pleasure being here. And I'm just so excited that you're getting your healing solutions out to as many people as possible because, I know a lot of my friends work with you and my friends' friends. I've referred a bunch of people to work with you, and now they're referring people to work with you. It seems as if you're getting a lot of referrals because you get results, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a unique method for sure.
that's awesome. Well, yeah, I grew up in Canada and I had a great upbringing with my mom and dad and 7 brothers and sisters, a little crazy. But I definitely struggled with my ability to focus, and I was diagnosed with ADHD, dyslexia, and I was put into special needs to take tests. And I used to think to myself, like, man, I am dumb. I can't really put sentences together. I don't know really how to figure things out from an academic perspective. And I saw my friends flourishing in academia and in high school and elementary
Yeah.
school. And I built like a belief about myself, like that I was not smart, or that everyone else is smarter than me. And then my mom, she saw that the medications like the Adderall and the Accutane for my acne and things of that nature were impacting me negatively. And
Mhm.
she said, "You know what? My dad, all he taught me was medicine. He died from it. And then, all I've known is the pharmaceutical industry." And she's worked in a pharmacy her
Mhm.
whole life. And she said, "You know what? I wanna figure something else out for my son." So she
Mhm.
went to a functional medicine doctor. Uh, we also went to a chiropractor and a naturopath. And so
Nice.
between the 3 of them, there was, like, unbelievable information that was shared. I learned that I had gut dyssymbiosis, a candida overgrowth. I was
Mhm.
majorly deficient in B12,
Mhm.
and some other micronutrients. I had a really bad alignment in my upper cervical spine that got
Mhm.
that got corrected, and and then I was like, I just didn't know what to eat or how to eat, and I was up my nutrition was upgraded. So my whole family, we got healthier,
Yeah.
and over time, my mom reversed her depression, my dad's heart disease reversed, and there was just so many like, unbelievable breakthroughs that happened in our
Awesome.
family's health, and including my
Yeah.
my own.
Yeah.
And so I decided to study in the United States, and and I ended up getting an academic international scholarship to study, which was great.
Nice.
And,
Even
um,
though you weren't very smart.
yeah, I started getting straight A's in class.
Turns turns out you're pretty smart.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really do think a lot of the kids that are told that they aren't smart are actually really intelligent, and
Absolutely.
the
I
kids
agree.
with ADHD and dyslexia are actually really brilliant and
Yeah.
savants in different ways.
And a
And
lot of times high performers, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Like, I don't
Mhm.
think anybody really could do what I'm doing in business.
Yeah.
Like, with what like, not many people can do what I'm doing in business right now. I'm, like, doing some, interesting things, launching different businesses, but
You are, like, just incredible, and I will say people say that about me, and I'm like, "Well, you don't know Isaac Jones."
aw. No, you're amazing as well, and so this kind of, like, led me to this path of just wanting to understand human potential and
Yeah,
optimal potential, and what I now call human flourishing. And
yeah.
so I went to school. I wanted to go to the top school in the world for high performance healthcare, and I wanted to learn functional medicine. I wanted to learn nutrition. I wanted to learn the nervous system and
Mhm.
chiropractic. And so I learned, all of that. And I kind of
Mhm.
just ate it all up. And I went to all these advanced seminars and learned, some breakthroughs in solutions that would really continue to elevate my health. But then I became the go-to healer in my school
Right.
when nobody could. They're like, "Oh, I've got a cancer patient here, give him to Isaac. Oh, I've got
Yeah.
somebody with autoimmune, give him to Isaac. Oh, I've got this person with dementia, give him to Isaac."
You were the
And I got
difficult
to
guy. Mhm.
yeah, say that again?
Mhm. You were the difficult case guy.
Yeah, so I ended
Mhm.
up working with all the difficult cases, and it was fun to me, like, to work with
Yeah.
these different people that were struggling and with different health challenges and just be a detective because everyone's different, You could have 2 women with breast cancer, and one woman has breast cancer because she's been stressed out her whole life, and it's more emotional in respect to the underlying issues, and another woman, it could be because she was putting her cell phone in her chest or something like that, and she's getting EMF, toxicity, and I've seen people
Mhm.
do that, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, don't put your cell phone in your breast pocket."
Yeah,
But, there's a lot of different, reasons why people are dealing with what they're dealing with, and so
absolutely. Everybody's different.
everyone's different. Exactly, exactly. So then I got into what I called human potential healthcare, and then I got into what they're now calling longevity healthcare, which was first called anti-aging healthcare and then longevity healthcare, which longevity healthcare didn't even really launch until 5 or 6 years ago. And so it's very new. It's very breakthrough. It's very exciting.
Yeah, and
And
you know a lot about it.
yeah, now I joined Da Vinci 50 and some other groups to learn about longevity, and
Mhm.
I think me being a part of these different groups and being around the top longevity experts in the world, I realized that, I'm probably, one of the top, if not the top, experts out there, especially
Yeah.
in really understanding what true longevity is, if you know what I'm saying.
I do, and absolutely, I actually have a question for you about that because, the word longevity sort of, I think, initially can imply, that you live longer. And I know for some people, especially those that are suffering with chronic illness and maybe depression, things that are a little bit more longer term in nature, sometimes if you say the word longevity to someone like that, they're thinking longevity so I can live longer to incur this current level of suffering
Yeah.
versus the scenario, which I think is really what you mean, but I'll let you expand on this further in terms of like actual like quality of life, right? And
Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
I look at it as human flourishing as a good
Mhm.
word for it because it's like we wanna be able to help people, like, flourish in life
Mhm.
and get
Mhm.
to a place where they're not just getting by, they're thriving,
Right.
and they're really you know, they're building systems for long-term sustainable results, and and so I look at human flourishing as something that is different than what a lot of people even understand.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's a vitalistic model that's not just about just your health. It's about your spiritual health, your relational health, your emotional health. It's not just about your CDC blood work. It's about your gastrointestinal bacteria. You're looking at your viral overload. You're looking at environmental toxins that you've been exposed to throughout your lifetime. You're looking at what kind of hormone dysregulation you have or micronutrient deficiencies you have. And there's a strategy, and your methodology addresses a lot of this, but like there's a strategy that will help to overcome a lot of these things. But like it's really addressing at the core what they call the hallmarks of aging. And
Yes.
these are the very things that drive aging inside the body
Mhm.
and cause people to age. And a lot of people think like, oh yeah, longevity is me kind of living longer in pain.
Yeah.
I just want to like leave this earth kind of thing. I'm talking about like no pain, no
Mm.
suffering. You're
Right.
at your peak level of health and vitality, peak performance, and you're at your peak performance in your 70s, 80s, 90s, and into your 100s. And I really do believe I have very strong belief system around the fact that I believe that we can all get to 110, 120 plus if, we follow these systems
Yeah.
and even more. Like, I really do think that. Now,
Yeah.
some people think,
What's the age you've written down? You've had us write that in that exercise, write down what age we think we'll live to. What's the
yeah,
number?
I've got 156 is what I wrote
Okay.
down.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I again, I don't know if if we get to 156, then who's to say we won't be able to get to 356, right?
Right. Right.
So, I think that certainly a lot of people will be uploading their brains onto, like, computer chips and stuff like that so they can live in the, AI world longer, but
Yeah. Oh, that's
that's
true. Yeah.
that's not what I'm meaning. I'm meaning,
Yeah.
like, really your body, your health, your
Yeah.
vitality is vibrant, into your 100 plus years,
Yeah.
and yeah, so that's the goal that we have, and it's through really addressing these hallmarks.
Yes. And so, and that, and before we get into that, I do want to dive into the 12 hallmarks of aging because I think these are key principles that they can get a little heady for some people, perhaps in terms of some of the vernacular we'll use in describing them. But I also wanted to spend a second talking about like this is something that weighs on me. I want to get your thoughts on this too. When we look around in our current society today, right? And we look at just like what we're doing, just like take, the 10,000-foot view over ourselves and here we are these little humans running around and always making things happen, doing things, sometimes just trying to pay the bills, sometimes just trying to surviving, sometimes
Yeah,
thriving. right?
Yeah.
It's a whole kaleidoscope, right, of all the things that we're doing as humans. But one of the things I think is the saddest is as I look at like my parents' generation, I'm sure your parents' generation, we're seeing just increased levels of neurodegeneration conditions. And we've watched these people that are older than us work their butts off for their entire life, their careers, they're, doing
Yeah.
everything that they can to get to this point in life now where they have like no vitality. Not only do they not have any vitality, they have potentially really like a whole nother set of circumstances
Yeah.
that they're managing, right? Including their litany of medications or their, surprise neurodegenerative condition that really has been brewing for probably most of their life, right?
Yeah.
If we're frank about it. What's your thoughts on that? Like, what do you think is really important to say to people for people to hear about this conversation before we get into some of the technical aspects of it?
I really think that part of the neurodegenerative issues in children, I think one of the biggest drivers is social media and is the stress associated with social media, the comparison trap of them comparing other people to themselves and
Mhm.
feeling less than and having people cyberbully them or whatever. I think there's a lot of unfortunate things that are happening psychologically, but then at the same time, and as bad as a problem that social media and the emotional onslaught these kids are having, I think it's also the fact that we're drinking more and more out of plastic. There's nanoplastics and microplastics bioaccumulating in the brain and the body.
Mhm.
You've got heavy metals
Mhm.
and environmental toxins and biotoxins that are bioaccumulating in the brain and the body. And you're starting to see this like this synergistic positive feedback loop of the psychological, physiological traumas and stressors that are either are typically transient and chronic that then just bioaccumulate in your body, like, and cause major damage. Like,
Yeah.
I put on a toilet seat, like a warm bidet toilet seat for my wife just before Christmas,
Mhm.
and, I tightened all the bolts, everything was good, and then the next morning, I walked downstairs and I'm hearing drip, 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 and, it was raining outside, so I was like, "Oh, it must be outside," and then I look up and the whole ceiling is about to collapse,
Oh my
like,
god.
literally, and so I'm like, "Oh my gosh," and even right now, half my house is unfortunately being remediated because
Oh no.
there was just this small, amount of water, however much and it seems small, but over time, over the next 8 hours of me sleeping, it created all this damage in this house to the
Wow.
point where all the floors need to get ripped up,
Oh, wow.
and so that's what happens in our bodies, right? Like we
Yeah.
have, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal," and then our floors are collapsing in, figuratively speaking.
Absolutely. Are you tied to treatments, protocols, and gurus who promise results but don't deliver? You're not alone. For years, I struggled with my own long term illness, and I know how frustrating it feels when nothing seems to work. That's why I developed the Resiliency Method. It's a science backed approach to combining the best of Western and ancient medicines to restore your body's natural intelligence. Patient after patient has discovered what's possible, living stronger, brighter, and more spiritually connected than ever before. Whether you're facing autoimmune issues, hormonal imbalances, weight struggles, or just feeling stuck, you don't need another quick fix. You need a clear path forward. Take the first step with a discovery call at drerikaonline.com/discovery. That's DRERIKA online.com/discovery. Or dive deeper with a full initial consultation at drerikaonline.com/initial-consultation, because your health, your clarity, and your freedom cannot wait.
Right?
And now we've been exposed to some of these environmental toxins for over 100 years, right? And so now we've got the cumulative effect of not just what we as individuals have, encountered in our lifetime. But we are now breeding with other individuals who've also encountered their own toxic load. And then we've had multiple generations now breeding with these toxins inside our bodies, which
Yeah.
means we can get transferred in utero to our babies, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah,
and then epigenetically, it impacts the genes as well. So
absolutely.
if you look at the flip side of that, when you remove those toxins and when you help people access a high level of health and vitality, and when you are helping them maximize their potential in life and really access a high degree of what I would consider human flourishing,
Sure.
then you're impacting the next generation. So,
Yes.
like, it's not black, white, you know, Asian or whatever that is the right race. It's literally like our genes all have potential to be optimized, and we all have the potential to be downgraded. So no matter what our culture is, right? Like I think Hitler was talking about this Aryan race, as being the superior race, and it's like,
Mhm.
what we know is that every human has genetics that has the potential to be excellent, right?
Yeah, and be
So
optimized,
and to be
absolutely.
optimized.
Mhm. Yeah, and we're all the same.
Yeah.
We all come from the same source of that DNA, and so there is no distinction really. The exterior is really minute. I didn't mean for us to go down this this corridor.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think that there's a huge opportunity for us to, like, understand that we all come from, this beautiful place. I believe that we came from perfection, right? And
Absolutely.
I
Perfectly
believe,
designed.
yeah, and I believe in the Garden of Eden, and I think there's just this amazing perfect design that, we as humans have the opportunity while we're on this earth to be able to optimize and get back to where as close as we possibly can be
Absolutely.
to when people were living literally 800 plus years,
Right.
you know, and they knew what a year was, by
Yeah,
the way.
that's
So
so interesting to me and so crazy.
yeah, I mean, but before the flood, it was like people literally lived for so many years. It was like 600, 500, 800. Methuselah was like what, 800 and something. So yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy. So on that note, let's get into some of the more technical aspects of aging and starting with the 12 hallmarks of aging. Love to hear your thoughts on them. If you have
Yeah.
some that you think are particularly ones to pay attention to, what you would say about those things.
Yeah, I would say that there's more hallmarks than just 12. So we'll get into those, but I want to keep it relatively simple cuz I don't want to overcomplicate things.
Mhm.
So there's the primary hallmarks, and the primary hallmarks are genomic instability. That's when your genes, they start to essentially break down, and the expression of your genes and the proteins created thereby end up becoming less and less healthy. And then the messaging and the communication, the signaling in your body just continues to downgrade. And it leads to disease genes being turned on. It leads to, the lack of human optimization genes being turned on.
Mhm.
So that's a big problem. You've
And
got
that's principally founded in DNA damage, right? From some of the exposures that we were just talking about.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. So stress causes DNA damage. If somebody's in chronic pain all the time, that causes DNA damage. It actually shrinks your frontal cortex, chronic pain does. And then you've got micronutrient deficiencies impact genomic instability, toxins impact
Mhm.
genomic instability, the list goes on. And
Right.
then you've got telomere attrition. So this is what a lot of people think when they're like, "Oh, how old are you? What's your biological age?" They think of the telomeres. And if you just took my telomere length, I would be one of the youngest people in the world for my age. But there
And
are
Isaac, is that what the the principle, the sources out there that are giving you biological aging, are you actually saying that those devices or those calculations, those companies that are creating giving you a biological age, are they primarily looking at that as the source that goes into that? Is that what you're saying?
Well, a lot of people, that's all they look at is telomere length
Mhm.
or what their biological age is. The tests out there are looking at way more methylation biomarkers
Okay.
than telomere now. And
Okay.
so we're able to see a lot of details into the multiple biological clocks that you have, not just your telomere length. So the typically the longer telomere, it's like it looks like a shoelace on the end of a chromosome, like it's kind of like the tip of a chromosome, which is your DNA. And
Uh-huh.
the shorter it gets, the more genomic instability you have and the more health problems that you have
Got it.
and the faster you die. So the the longer your telomere is, the better. And so you can increase your telomere length through hyperbaric oxygen therapy, through healthy eating, through exercise, increases telomerase activity and the upregulation of telomerase, which is the enzyme that protects the telomere. So you've got telomere attrition, you've got epigenetic alterations, and that's just like the environment in and around the cell that impacts the expression of the genes
Mhm.
downgrades. So it's like, if you're in a beautiful city, but then these gangs start coming in, right? That's the epigenome, the environment, and they start, burning cars and flipping over
It's
cars and
happening right now, I think, actually.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
happening right now. I just learned about that because
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be flying into Mexico next week. So, but yeah, it's like a little crazy.
Yeah, it is.
But you've got epigenetic alterations, you've got loss of proteostasis, which is like your proteins essentially start to unfold and they become loose. And you don't want those loose proteins. You want healthy, tight proteins. And the
Mhm.
cool thing is, so those are all the primary kind of hallmarks of aging.
Mhm.
You also have what we call antagonistic hallmarks, and that's the your cells stop sensing. It's called nutrient sensing. They stop sensing the nutrients as well, and so there's a downregulation in the utilization of nutrients. There's mitochondrial dysfunction where the energy power plant of your cell stops producing ATP. There's cellular senescence, which is where cells become old and they give off this thing called SASPs. And then the more that these secretory, toxic particles from the senescent old cells get secreted, the more it actually tells the healthy cells to become old. So
Yeah,
again,
and
a lot
my
of
my listeners, we call that blood stasis in our world. That's one of the
blood.
Chinese medicine principles. They knew about that in ancient medicine, that the blood stasis that was created in the body was part of that aging process, and that's
Wow.
death. Mhm.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because all this new research is, like, confirmed by 5,000-year-old
Yes,
Chinese medicine, you know?
I know, I
It's
know, it is.
it's really cool,
Yeah,
really cool.
right.
So, then you have stem cell exhaustion, and that's where your stem cells that help to go and repair areas of your body and keep you young.
Mhm,
In fact, like, if you're a woman listening and you're wondering, "Why do I wrinkle?" You wrinkle
mhm,
because you lose stem cells in your
mhm.
your literally your dermal tissue, that the stem cells are what helps to produce the tightening and stiffening of the skin
Yeah,
and the collagen and keeping it really healthy. So when you lose the stem cells in your skin, you start to age faster. So
mhm,
stem cell exhaustion, if you care about your aesthetics, is like one of the most important things.
yeah. We found a low molecular weight liquid hydrogen or hydrogen collagen product that actually helped with that. We use that as a part of our process for when we're rebuilding to increase stem cell supply for the body, as well as the stem regen products that you're
Yeah,
familiar.
there's some really good products for
Yeah.
with hydrogen therapy that really help with that. And yeah, and there's a lot of, stuff that's not so good out there. So I'm happy that you're doing all the research.
Mhm.
And there's inability for cells to communicate together, so they call that altered intracellular communication.
Mhm.
One of the big ones everyone's talked about over the years is chronic inflammation. And then there's dysbiosis, which is the gut bacteria. And that's what they call the integrative hallmarks, those
Mhm.
3 or 4, excuse me. And then there's more of the functional hallmarks. And this is where a lot of people miss the boat when it comes to longevity. So there's there's altered structural properties. So
Okay.
if anyone has ever studied biotensegrity, it's the kind of your cell has a cytoskeleton within it. And if you're out of alignment on a macro level, let's say you're hunched over, you've seen old
Mhm.
people like all hunched over,
Mhm. Yep.
literally their cells are out of alignment as well. So the cytoskeleton in the organs and the tissues become out of alignment. And
Mhm.
when there's altered structural properties, that leads to a lot of problems inside the body. And they say that structure dictates function in Guyton's anatomy and physiology. And so it's important to like have your head over top your shoulders, your ears
Yeah.
over top your shoulders, right? The middle of your ear should be over top the middle of your shoulder. And a lot of people have, forward head posture.
Mhm.
It's worse in kids now than ever, right? Because they're sitting there on their phones and they're hunched over. But that's one of the hallmarks of aging. You've got hypoxia, which is just a decrease in breathing properly. People, because of their poor posture, they breathe really poorly and they don't get enough oxygen. So if you kind of hunch over and take a deep breath, and then if you sit up straight and take a deep breath, it's like you get around 50-60% more air in your
Yeah.
lungs just by having healthy posture, right? And so there's a
Listeners at
whole
home, try that at home. Hunch over, take a deep breath, and then, do a second breath with your shoulder blades back.
yeah,
Yeah, your rib cage tucked. Perfect. Yeah.
100%. And and again, a lot of people are hypoxic because of sleep apnea, of, they're not they're mouth breathing, they're not nose breathing,
Mhm.
they're they're not breathing through their belly, they're just chest breathing, shallow chest breathing. So there's a lot of different reasons why people have low oxygen. And then the last two hallmarks are toxic bioaccumulation, which is biotoxins and environmental toxins that bioaccumulate in your body.
Mhm.
And then the last one is lack of coherence. And coherence is essentially the phase angle of your cell. It's the health of your intracellular kind of you know fluidity in the structure of your cell. And so your cells, they should have a healthy phase angle. And the higher your phase angle is, the higher your VO2 max is, the more oxygenation you have in your cell, the more vibrant you are, the better sleeps you
Mhm.
get. And so there's a number of things that can help to increase coherence: meditation, prayer, drinking healthy water. And one of the things that really helps with phase angle is structured water, drinking structured mineralized water. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of things there, but the lower your phase angle, the more disease you have as well. So
Is that
all of
kind of another word for you said the word coherence in there, Isaac, and the way you described it almost leads me to that word vibration or frequency,
yeah,
and that's something we can measure.
yeah, we can. What do you use to measure the frequency?
Well, I'm a muscle tester, so that's one thing that we'll use to get in a to sort of assess that, but I think there's other tools that are emerging out there. I've just filed a patent for one, um, that I wanna develop that will help us understand that level of how the body's responding and what the frequency of energy is for any particular organ, tissue, or gland. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
TOI and galvanized skin testing are a couple of the bigger of the ones that I know that are in the marketplace to kinda understand that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, when we address these hallmarks, we're reversing age, right?
Yeah.
And the age related diseases. They say that if you want to reverse disease or prevent disease, you have to prevent aging. So what you should be focused on are these hallmarks of aging, which I think is the future of medicine. I think any ologist, cardiologist, neurologist, a an endocrinologist, any kind of ologist that studies disease, they have to be integrating these hallmarks of aging, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And so what are some of your recommendations? Like if somebody wanted to, you mentioned the biological age, like what kind of tests do you think are the best ones on the marketplace today that you recommend to people to assess their aging process?
I would say one that you can just do a finger prick test on is good. It's called True Diagnostics,
Mhm.
and it's you just do this finger prick test. You put the blood into like this circle, and
Mhm.
that's it. You ship it off, and then they run like if you get the true age test, you can get your biological scores, and if you get the true health test, you can get all your health scores. And
Good.
it's a really good test to get done, and you can test pre post to see kind of where you are before and after, which is really fun.
And you mentioned that they would ascertain inside that, like, telomere length, but also they're starting to ascertain, like, methylation factors, or that means your ability to detox effectively as a part of that now,
And
is
you would
that
have to get the true health test on
okay?
that one, but
Okay.
with the true age, it gets into what they call the lifomic score, and so you've got your omic score, and your omic score is like looking at all of the omics, like the proteomics, the metabolomics, the genomics, etcetera. And it also looks at all of the organs. So like what's the health of your heart? What's the health of
Right.
your liver? What's the health of your brain? What's the health of your gut? And you're only as old or you're only as young as your weakest link. So I
Yeah.
have a friend who's he just turned 70 and his biological age is in his 30s and 40s. And for most of his biological age, but his kidney score, because he had kidney disease when he was a kid, is in his 80s. So he turned 70, but his kidneys are 86. So he's like, "Look, I know if I
Yeah.
don't do something about these kidneys, then I'm gonna die an early death." And
Absolutely.
it's like he's doing all the right things for
Yeah.
everything else, right?
Yeah, the health of your kidneys is number 1 when it comes to anti-aging because it produces a protein called klotho, which is supposed to be a very important one for anti-aging, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Isaac. I just want to thank you for joining us today. I would love to hear from you. We always wrap up these episodes in the spirit of getting people to think even more critically about their health, their wellness, their aging, their longevity. What do you think is a better question for people to ask themselves about any of those topics that would empower them to really get a better result when it comes to their aging process?
Well, psychosomatically, I think if you believe you're gonna live older, then you can. And I think that if you ask yourself, how old am I going to live to? And
Mhm.
you answer, I'm going to live to 80 years old, your brain is and your body's going to be programmed to live to 80.
I love
But if
that.
you say, I want to live to 120, you may never live to 120, but maybe you'll end up living to 95. Maybe you'll live to 110. Maybe you'll live to 130. I don't know. But like you want to tell your body like it can be communicated to by your brain. They call this amazing nervous system of yours a pharmacy because it
Yeah.
literally is like it creates all the neurochemicals that help to program cells. So that's the question I would ask. And ask yourself, okay, if I were to integrate everything that Dr. Erica teaches, then like how much longer could I live for? And it may
Mhm.
be 20, 30, 40 years. And so you say, okay, I thought I would live till how old my mom lived till maybe 75. But, I wanna live to I'm 125. Make that your new goal,
I love it.
125, and then watch how you show up. Like all my friends are like, "Man, you're such a kid when you're playing with kids." I'm like, "'Cause I know my body can be like a kid. I'm just as mobile, I'm just
Yeah.
as agile as a child."
Right.
And I wanna if they're doing somersaults, I'm doing somersaults. If
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
if they're doing this because it's like if I don't, and I just sit back like most dads, and then I'm programming myself, oh, my body's old. I'm going to get injured.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But the reason why we get injured is because we're not actually doing that kind of stuff
Right.
that kids are doing. If we
Right.
kept on programming our
Yeah.
bodies in the ways that children program our bodies, like it's so much fun. That's why I love like wrestling and playing around with my kids. But anyways, if you wanna follow, me on Instagram, I'll share more about this type of stuff and you can see what I do with my kids and what my travels. I just got back from doing an MRI and CAT scan on my body last week, so I was posting a little bit about that, but it's Dr. Isaac Jones. I
Perfect.
think it's at Dr. Isaac Jones is my Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Isaac Jones, for being with us today, sharing your incredible insights, wisdom, especially on this area of longevity. We appreciate you and your knowledge. And I just appreciate you personally as a mentor and guide for me. And I have this last few years. It's been nothing but a pleasure and joy to be a part of your group, the
Oh,
Health Experts Alliance. And until we meet again, I know hopefully, I'm going to try to get you back on for a future episode as
I
well.
would love that. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Dr. Erica. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for tuning into the Resiliency Method, the Truth About Healing podcast. If this episode spoke to you, follow, share, and leave us a review. Are you ready to go deeper? Book your discovery call now at drericaonline.com/discovery and take your first step today.